it's nice to be in the heart of hop production in America because you can experiment with a lot of different types and varieties, and people want you to experiment with them, especially since we do have such a small system. They'll give us samples to try out, and we'll say, yeah, we like it or we don't like it, and give them some and see what they think, and that's what they really want. Some of the equipment we have here is Britt Grant's old equipment that he started off with in 1982. This kettle here was actually made way back then and used by him, and now is being used by us. Same as the mash tun and a couple of the fermenters behind you. Come on this way. Watch out for the hoses. This is our giant swamp cooler. It works well, but it also adds a lot of humidity to the place, so we don't use it as a swamp cooler as much as we probably should. It's an overgrown fan. This is our grain supply here. Like I've said before, we are small. We don't have a silo. We do have a grain mill, which is often necessary. So grain here, mill here. We take it up to our mash tun here. And dump that in and mix it with hot water. And we end up usually doing that about 7 or 8 times till it's full and it's all set to go. And then we will run it down into our 3.5 barrel kettle, which once again is Britt Grant's, was Britt Grant's. We'll boil that for an hour and a half and send it through our heat exchanger via our pump and add oxygen back into the product. Send it to one of our 6 fermenters, 2 of them being 3.5 barrel, the rest being 7 barrel. And I am racking today, so I'm washing kegs and filling kegs. Lots of exciting stuff going on here. I started brewing, gosh, what year would it have been? Probably around 88, 89, just as a home brewer. I started brewing in my fraternity over at Washington State, first of all, and made a number of batches there and just really fell in love with the whole thing. Came back to Yakima, obviously living here, and Britt Grant was in business and started working at the pub, and then working at the brewery, and then brewing at the pub eventually. At that point, I thought the Washington beer industry was really going to take off. And of course it was, with Red Hook and Grant's at the same time, and Pyramid. But it kind of stuttered, it flattened out a little bit. And I'm hard pressed to say why that would be. But at least it's gaining momentum again now, which is important. So if you want to come visit the brewery here in Yakima, our tap room is a good place to go to try everything that's fresh and local. We're a small brewery, so we don't get our product out too far from the city, at least today. Best place to try it here. Good food, good conversation. It's a good place to go, and it has air conditioning. 1982 is a good introduction to craft beer if you're not used to craft beer, and craft beer has more character than domestic beer does. There are a number of differences, but character is probably the most important one. This is a mid-hopped amber ale, so it's not overly aggressive when it comes to the hop. It's more malt focused than hop focused, but it's a good balance of both. That's why we call it mid-hopped. Those of us who live and work in Yakima in the brewing business, hop is the key, right? We originally brewed 1982 as a seasonal and as a tribute to Yakima's brewing history. If you go back in Yakima's brewing history, you'll only arrive at 2 places. The modern is Britt Grant in 1982, started the first post-prohibition brew pub in the country, right here in Yakima. Some people, Michael Jackson included, consider Britt Grant to be one of the most important figures in craft beer. So we use Britt's original copper kettle from the Opera House days, and we brewed this beer with ingredients you could get in 1982. There weren't a lot of choices in terms of high alpha hop as there are today. It's a very simple beer, a very straightforward beer, but a very good beer and very popular here. Well, today Yakima Craft Brewing Company is a small local brewery, and that's where we wanted to be, and that's where we want to stay to a large degree. However,
We want to tap into the markets of Seattle and Portland in particular, stay regional, Pacific Northwest being our home. It's a great little brewery with some plans we're going to grow next year. Today we can't be in those markets because we're just too small. That should change next year, and we'll be able to capitalize on some of the success we've had on what we call the West Side. But we're never going to lose our local flavor. We're never going to lose our local support. That's really what we're all about, and really a large part of the key to our success.